Wave here with the two fingers. I thought that was very unique. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're here, Tropical Nomad, every Monday, 6:30 or 6:25. We go live. I think we're a little bit late today, but it's okay. We're here now. So tonight really is all about a very serious topic, which is mental health in Indonesia. And we have a wonderful group of men, and there's also women, but just tonight we have the men, which are basically the pioneers of professional mental health services here in Indonesia. The name of Bali Bersama Bisa. So fellas, we got Nev, we got BimBim, and we got DJ in a minute who are going to introduce themselves so you get to know them a little bit more. Now, my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, as you know, the host and the founder of SpeakuP Monday here in Indonesia. By the way, it's Destination Indonesia, for those who you kind of forget. So it's really about how do we showcase incredible stories of magnificent people and organizations doing things which really do enroll and enrapture this Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, right, which is the motto of Indonesia, unity in diversity, number one. Number two, people inspire people. And number three is entrepreneurship and social impact. So this is episode number 443. We've interviewed some of the largest companies in Indonesia, like Gojek co-founder, all the way through to some of the smallest, both Indonesian and foreigner. So it really is an incredible place that you can go on YouTube, check out our YouTube library. I think the last 269 episodes are there for you to check out. Now, finally on me, so Destination Indonesia, I'm known as a gateway to Indonesia or a growth strategist in Indonesia. So we help foreign and local, in other words, domestic companies, both medium and large, enter and grow within Indonesia. Three things that we do. Number one is feasibility tour. So if you have an idea of there's something that I would like to do but don't know if it's going to work, we have relationships with 10 different industry sectors to the leaders, stakeholders, innovators, and disruptors. Number two, we line up meetings directly with them so you can talk directly. And number 2A, let's call it, is we can connect you as a super connector to your customers, okay? And the third and final one is that we can then help you to promote your service in a very organic way. So that's enough of the intro. Let me get started. So I think this is number 3 that we've done together, fellas. Is it 3 or 4? We've done 3, maybe because you've been on 3 times. So what we're going to talk about tonight, and I'm going to introduce it, is, Bali Bersama Bisa, what it's doing, what the work is, the Freedom Summit, what that stands for, and why it's important, and why people here in the audience and those watching online should get involved. And it's all about taking action. So just before we get there, let's start with you, Nev. On the end, if you give us a little intro, a little bit of background into what you do and how it comes together in Bali Bersama Bisa.
Thanks for having us, Rob. It's very cool. Nice to see you people out there. My name's Nev. I'm a New Zealander. I've been in Bali for about 13 years, and I'm very grateful to be on the journey with what I consider some of the best change makers on the island to doing what we're doing with passion. And Bali Bersama Bisa means together we can. I can't do what I do without my brother BimBim and DJ. He's our madman, rocketman that just rocks it big time. But was that an introduction you asked for?
Oh, look, it was pretty good. But tell us about Movement of Recovery, which is your baby, yeah?
Yeah, well, that's okay. I'm a social worker. I'm a alcohol and drug practitioner. I'm a therapist. I'm a counsellor. I've worked in youth justice, all sorts of things. I've come over here and founded rehabs. But then we started, well, on a personal level, I'm a drug addict in recovery. And I found a purpose and meaning by giving back to communities. And in Indonesia, mental health addiction field is lacking services big time, and I'm not Indonesian. So I had this crazy idea to jump in vans and travel around Australia and build a voice of recovery and hope. And I found my brother BimBim, and we're sometimes known as Kopi and Susu, which is coffee and milk. And we traveled for a year and a half through Indonesia in vans. visiting rehabs, promoting the voice of recovery for Indonesia. And then during COVID, that converted into meeting our brother DJ, where we fed the hungry during COVID, and oh God, it's just too long a story. Basically, we became the leaders of this community, which was BimBim and myself, and we were breaking stigma around addiction at that time in 2020 and giving food to people, but then we found there were other communities in Yayasans, especially mental health, that weren't represented and were really struggling. So we came up with an idea in 2020 on October the 10th, World Mental Health Day, that together we can, and that's what Bali Bersama Bisa stands for. Together we can do more, and we've done some really crazy stuff since then. We had vans, we were giving out food, breaking stigma. We had drag queens giving out food in the middle of Denpasar, breaking stigma, tanpa stigma, and getting out there on the streets, really making it happen. And the community, we've just managed to grow by doing some crazy stuff like climbing mountains, which you'll hear more about later. Really proud to know be a part of this crew,
Wonderful, brother. Now, if you could pass that microphone to our brother BimBim. So, yeah, just don't play with it, remember? it's already on. Why is it everyone gets a mic, they always start to play with it? Don't play with it. Me too, by the way. So when you speak, remember that mic nice and close to you. So, BimBim, maybe just introduce yourself and what is Bali Bersama Bisa to you?
Okay. I should introduce myself first?
Yep.
Okay. Can I swap? This is not too loud. My name is Wayan BimBim. So I'm Balinese. Born and raised in Bali, island of the God. So, as a Balinese with a limited knowledge and huge stigma around addiction and mental health. So I'm one of the boys who's struggling with addiction since teenagers. Try to find help, do that time, but so limited information, education, and also resources. So finally, went through the struggling and challenge to my addiction. Finally, I met with one of program that funded by the government back in 2018. So that program is saving my life. That's why I'm here now. So but the sad part is that program is no more established. So I was one of I'm taking the last quote of the 2018 that year. So after that program no more established. So but the community who's struggling with addiction still a lot in the community. That's why when I met my brother Neff during my graduation day after the rehab, so he introduced me with his vision and mission. And first he introduced himself, and then he got a huge mission and shared it with about his dream to breaking the stigma and educate the community about what is addiction and what is recovery can give. So I jumped to the boat with him, and then since then we just go with the fight. What do you call it? Fight?
Yeah, you can. Go with the fight
to make the dream come true. So yeah, that is the start of the Bali Bersama Bisa. So with like he mentioned before, we jump to the fan, and then we gathering all the voice of recovery, not only addiction but also mental health. But finally, in one conclusion that we found, all the survivor of addiction and mental health is struggling to find a safe place to get hurt, because we've been stigmatized with our disease, We've been marginalized. So we just have a dream that we want creating a safe place for us that time, for us. And then the COVID hit. And then that is when the community starts struggling, also during their mental issue. But we, as a survivor of addiction and mental health, we've been through that kind of situation. So yeah, at that time we met DJ also, and then we just sharing our experience. And then that time, finally we can giving back to the community through our own experience. So the purpose is we want to have a safe place for us to get hurt, but finally with the help of the community, expat and local here in Bali, we have a place to help all the community of Bali and Indonesia to provide that safe place so everyone can get hurt without stigmatized, without marginalized. So that is the start of why we're creating the place.
Love it, my brother. Thank you so much, BimBim. Pass on to DJ. So DJ, in your summation of introducing yourself, brother, right? It'll be great for you at the end to give us some numbers, right? Okay, over to you.
All right. First, thank you everybody for being here, coming to listen to us. Thanks, Robert, for having us. Me, BimBim, and Nev, the heart and soul behind Bali Bersama Bisa. So, where do I start? I'm a plowboy from Southwest Kansas, Dodge City to be exact. So, cowboy capital of the world. And there's something with that, you know, like the crop don't plant itself and it don't harvest itself. And I was taught to take action, you know. So I observed these guys back in 2020 with a pure and driven mission, right? Where they haven't really highlighted that yet. But inside of Bali Bersama Bisa is 10 NGOs. And in those 10 NGOs, there's probably some things you don't think of when you think of mental health, like fighting cancer, or being HIV positive, or being physically disabled, or being deaf or blind. And so inside that community is people like that, right? They don't only suffer with mental health, they suffer with physical health as well, and the mental health associated with that. Now, why we sit up here today is, I can say with confidence, people were helped today, you know, and people will be helped tomorrow. This isn't a gimmick. You can come by the Bali Bersama Bisa facility any day of the week, and you can see mental health in action, and you can see the work that these guys do. So with that said, they're able to impact around 1,000 people a month. That includes 300 people coming in for counseling, specialized support groups, focused on them different issues that I already mentioned, you know. Who's going to know how to deal with a situation such as fighting cancer other than somebody that's fought cancer, you know. So those specialized support groups, workshops, and they run an intensive outpatient program, 28 days, full rehabilitation. It's like a lot of these services across the island charge $100+ million for such a service. You can come in and you can get help for free at Bali Bersama Bisa, and that's why we're here tonight, is to create the awareness around what we're doing. Because when somebody struggles with mental health, the last thing they need to worry about is where to turn for help, right? So I sit up here on this stage with, you know, a time in my life where I had to turn and ask for help. And if I didn't have the avenues, I wouldn't be here on this stage tonight. So I believe very firmly in what we're doing and what Bali Bersama Bisa means to not only us, but to 1,000+ people a month.
Thank you, brothers. And just to add to that, maybe there's three things, you know. One is, I love the fact that, yeah, you know, together we can. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, unity and diversity. I see all of this at play, right? Also, Gotong Royong, right? The community coming together to solve a challenge facing the community. There's so much there. Number one. Number two, you know, I see action. As you said, right? Man from Dodge City, not a dodgy city, in case you're wondering. Maybe, but Dodge City, right? But you're a farmer. As you said, it doesn't plant itself. You need to get in and you need to harvest it, right? So there's work there which you all have in common, you know. And the third thing is consistency. So I remember you, like years ago when we first did this, which was a number of years ago, during COVID, as you mentioned, we were kind of hiding out back. Yes, we won't go into that, but we did a show. You got to get it in the can, right? But even then, you know, like you can see the passion, the drive, the determination, the understanding that there's a problem that needs to be done, that needs to be solved. So why don't we solve it, right? One of the things as well that if you're listening here, either tuning in online or you're here in person, remember these things. Number one, there's different ways that you can contribute to what the guys are doing. So Bali Bersama Bisa is together we can, right? So together we can. So you may have different skills or attributes that maybe something you're going to hear tonight might just give you that little tickle somewhere, right? It's like, there's something I should do. In the words of Brother DJ, take action. Pick up the phone and call, right? Or go to the website, or go to the Instagram, or give me a call, and I'll pass the numbers on. And that can be skills, that can be funds, that can be money. As he said, people often charge a million for these sorts of services, but you're giving it away for free. Right? So what we're going to talk about tonight is Freedom Summit, which is a way of not only creating awareness, not only a way of physical activity that helps to fight mental health, but it's also a way to raise funds, right, for what you're doing, because again, without the support of the community, what you're doing isn't going to last, right? So So two other things I want to say and we'll get into tonight. So Speak Up Monday, what you're watching now, is a show which has been endorsed and recognized by Forbes Business Council, by the National Tourism and Creative Economy Minister here in Indonesia, as well as Bali Tourism Board and Bali Tourism Promotion, and one of the largest accelerators in the world called Founder Institute. But all of those are not the most important thing. One of the reasons why the show started in the first place, which you may not remember, is, and people don't realize why is Speak Up Monday on a Monday, right? Now, about 10 years ago in Sydney, a little bit longer than that, working at a very high level in hospitality, 3 all men, which you would see from the outside looking in, were extremely successful. They looked good, they had a beautiful wife, they had a beautiful business, things were working. In 1 year, 3 of them all committed suicide. They all took their own lives, and no one saw it coming, right? On a bit more research, what I realized was that Monday is the most popular day for heart attacks in the world. Okay, Monday is also one of the most popular days, one of them, for people having suicidal thoughts or going one step further and taking their lives. So Speak Up Monday was all about, well, how do we create an atmosphere, an environment where we can drop a stone of positive intention into a pond of still water, where the ripples affect the whole on a day that's often going the other way. Right? So mental health is one of the 3 legs that Speak Up Monday has always stood on. Again, a few goosebumps. So having you guys here, that's why you didn't realize, right? When DJ calls me and said, Rob, we want to come on, I say yes. He doesn't know why. Now you know why, right? Because it's very important. So thank you for doing what you do, because it's extremely important. Now, let's get on to some of the questions. So there's 3 things we're going to talk about tonight, amongst others. One is, why did it even begin? 2, what is it doing now, and where does the future lie? And number 3 is Freedom Summit. Okay, so let's start with you, Nev, because why not? So give him the mic. Yeah. So you've spoken a little bit about it before, and you may want to defer to BimBim. It's up to you. But why? Why did Bali Bersama Bisa start? Right? Yeah.
Okay, well, look, here's some stats and figures, You may not know, but Bali has a 4 times higher suicide rate than anywhere in Indonesia. That's a fact. And it's not just Indonesians, it's Westerners. We're an inclusive community. During COVID, at the beginning, we had people in psychosis on the beach, and we didn't know, no one knows, there's no mental health act here. So at that time, I don't want to get us in trouble, but we were driving down to the beach, grabbing these people and putting them in the van, going, shh, we'll look after, and trying to secure them. Since that time, we've built relationships with Bali Mental Health Care, Bang Lee. We realised recently, because of that experience, we've created the closest thing to a mental health act to save someone from killing themselves or someone else who's in psychosis in Bali. And we've created a community that can be emulated through Indonesia, we hope, because together we can. And everyone has their skills. We had a crazy idea at 2020 that maybe there needed to be a suicide helpline. Now that was crazy. We had 2 cell phones. We didn't realize we were the only suicide helpline in Indonesia, and we ended up with 1,900 calls per day, and it went viral 4,360. And we ran it for 18 months before we realized we need to go bigger and we need to do something about the need, because the need's here and our resources are here. And we also realized through that we're gathering stats that haven't been gathered in Indonesia, like most Western developed countries. Through that year and a half, we realized that 60% of our callers were aged between 11 and 19. It was the kids that are reaching out wanting help in Indonesia. We're learning how to research properly and give empirical evidence data using a lot of empirical index surveys, so we can actually give substance and learn how to get funding. Seriously, if you guys know how to do IT, help us with grants or anything like that, we don't know. We're learning. We're climbing mountains and just trying to say, hey, together we can, But the reality is we're helping over 1,000 people per month now. We've got an amazing community. Like Wednesday nights, come along to the centre. It's a mix of Western and Indonesian. We translate everything because it's inclusive. Mental health is it's a human thing. It's not an ethnic issue. It's just not. Yeah. I think that's about me there, man.
Thank you, brother. Now, BimBim or DJ, if there's anything you want to add to that, please do. If not, we can move, but over to you, yeah?
I can add little stuff according to that. Yeah, so like I mentioned before, so in the community, there is a lack of a safe place for everyone, because what is lead the people until hitting up the rock bottom is because then they feel they doesn't hurt. They doesn't hurt. They're only told you need to do this, you need to do that, and it's a hard pressure for the people, including me. So with the help of the professional who training our Bali Bersama Bisa community how to be a good listeners, and then that is creating a huge impact to the community, because like Neb said, during the COVID time, we drive the 2 van with the community. We go to different spot of the city and provide a food to help the community who's suffering during the COVID, but they need to earn that one. So the thing that they need to do, they need to sharing their struggling and fear. So by that time, the community who've been training to be good listeners is providing huge impact to the community during the COVID, because after they feel hurt, they feel release. So we implementation that into our community center in Dalung. So that's why we have a Wednesday night activity. There's a sharing circle that everyone can come. Westerners, local. We just have a sharing circle to share our truth and struggling, and also our strength and hope. So everyone can feel heard, everyone will connect. Like together we can, together we can to be in the better place of our own mental health. So it's a beautiful journey that we learned since day one. With the two projects that we got, the Bisa Helpline and the Community Center, we not only provide a safe place for everyone to get heard, but also offer a solution for their issue. So we are the only one who can provide a free professional mental health for the community who need help. So what happened next after they're seeking for help and they recover? We also do the case management with them. We also do the family support group, educate the family. Because the lack of information, education about mental health in Bali is sometimes when the survivor go back to their home, the family will be the main trigger. So what we're doing in Bali Bersama Bisa, we do the first assessment, we're creating the treatment plan, we provide the treatment, and we also provide the exit plan. Because after they being recovered and being productive member of the society, they can look after themselves to our holistic program, peer support group based on their own issue. So
My brother.
it's a beautiful place. So we cannot do this alone. That's why any community, this is a program who provide by the community for the community. Anyone here tonight who have skill that you guys like to offer to grow this community, please contact Rob or me or Neff or DJ.
Now, on that note, she doesn't know I'm going to do this, but I just do it. Matilda, stand up for a second, please. Yes, you. Just stand up, just stand up, just stand up. So, there's a reason why. And Osaka, you need to meet Matilda. You'll know why in a minute. So everyone, this is Matilda Dwi Lestari, okay? So Matilda is a sister, and about Lord knows how many years ago, she came on the show, right? When we had it in the Life in Bali, like episode 60-something from memory. And Matilda is part of the first women's female team to complete the 7 Summits Challenge. If you don't know what a 7 Summits Challenge is, it's climbing the highest mountain on 7 continents, including Mount Everest. She's done it. Round of applause, right? Yeah, right? Now, here's a funny thing. You can sit down now, darling. It's all right. Here's a funny thing, right? That she might clip me around the ear for later, but it's okay. That's later. Is at that time, Speak Up Monday was about bringing people on. They do a bit of a presentation. Then we have a Q&A, right? Now, she was sitting in a chair. You remember this? She was sitting in a seat the week before, and I knew someone dropped out the week coming, and I didn't know who was going to take the spot. A mutual friend introduced us, and she's cheeky, right? So I knew within about 3 seconds of meeting her that she was going to be the guest on the next week's show. She didn't know. Right? So I'm there saying, Matilda, it's great to meet you. You're going to be up there next week. And she's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, you are. No, you're not. Yeah. I said, listen. And it just came across me. I said, you're afraid of speaking in public, aren't you? And she said, yes. Because remember, the presentation part is a bit like selling. It is. It feels a bit salesy. So with her, I said, Matilda, right, no presentation, just Q&A, you and me, that's it. And then she kind of gave me that look like, you got me. So then she came on the week after and blew it apart. But she was the reason that we did Q&A only from that point on. Right? Now, from what BimBim just said, she is also supporting the climbing aspect of Freedom Summit, right? So when Freedom Summit number 3, so when BimBim just said, if you have a skill, something that you want to contribute or can contribute, now she's contributing her expertise as a climber. And by the way, she's written a book which is going to get published. Any publishers out there, they need a publisher, I think. Just, they're amazing what they've done. So any publishers, have a chat to Matilda. If you can't get hold of her, get hold of me and I'll get hold of her. So Nice little segue, perhaps, but Freedom Summit. Let's get on to that, and you're the man to talk about it. What is Freedom Summit? Why is it important? Why should everybody get involved?
Before I go there, because they kept saying mental health services for free. You've heard that a lot tonight. Mental health services for free. People are being paid, you know, like it is for free for the people who need it, but there's a team of 20 people giving their day in, day out, Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, and they have children to feed and you know, families to take care of. So when we rewind that tape back to when there was 10 communities with a vision, they talked about what they wanted to do, you know, and me, I was coming from, let's call it a corporate NGO world, and I was watching them as they said we were feeding the hungry together during COVID, and I just thought to myself, all right, I'm gonna go out on a limb myself, and I'm gonna try to make this happen. How are we going to do this, right? Like we're basically, there's no rupiah in the bank, you know, all we have is an idea, and we're a community of marginalized individuals, right? Oh yeah, in the van we have, right? So great idea, guys. Now what, right? So back in 2020 we created the Freedom Summit, and inside of that there's a region of Bali that most of you probably don't even know exists. It's called Desa Bon. And so it's about 2.5 hours that way. People still struggle with things like food insecurity, running water, electricity. This is in our backyard. Don't kid yourself. It's 2 hours away, right? So I had this idea that we're going to climb mountains, yeah? Farm boy from Kansas, never been on a mountain in his life, yeah? But we're going to climb mountains for mental health, yeah? And so I thought, why not make a new trail out of this region of Bali called Desa Bon, and it'll add an aspect of tourism to the area and hopefully a bit of infrastructure and some money to the area. And so we spent about 500 plus man hours up on the side of this mountain. Probably shouldn't say this, but moving plants and shoveling dirt around and stuff like this to make a new trail. Yeah, so that was done back in 2021, and the first Freedom Summit had a bit over 60 participants, raised a bit over 700 million rupiah, which allowed these communities access to a facility, allowed them to start their counseling, and got things moving forward. Now I can throw around some big numbers, but I won't do that, because when you have psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, support workers, and a team of 20 on board, it's not cheap, right? It's not cheap to impact 1,000 plus people a month, right? So we continued this Freedom Summit journey. Freedom Summit 2 allowed for the creation of the services, yeah, but it couldn't do it alone. We had a generous sponsor right here called the Actual Rehab, great company out of Australia. They got behind us. They believed in what we were trying to do, and they have helped carry Bali Bersama Bisa out of its infancy into a full-fledged, first of its kind mental health facility. I'll tell you just personally, to go from the 10 NGOs idea to the day I first walked through and there was people waiting in the waiting room to see psychiatrists and psychologists, like my heart dropped, you know. We have done it, yeah? But now it's not only about we have done it. We have to keep this ship afloat. The demand is there. It's very obvious. 1,000 plus people a month. The phone lines ringing off the hook. The people are in the waiting room. The psychiatrists have waiting lists, you know? So that's what Freedom Summit 3 is about. And so far we have a bit over 60 participants signed up. It's happening this weekend. It's all different levels of, what do you want to say? Physical fitness, yeah. Mental fitness. So you can go for the wild ride, and you're going to do a gung, a bung, and batur in a matter of 3 days. Now, to put that into perspective, that's Mount Everest Base Camp to summit and back, plus 2,000 meters in 3 days. Yeah. So we have about 25 people doing that. We'll see. Yeah, and then there's 2 other divisions, including a bang and batur, together, or you can just come out and help join, move some tents around, meet the community, do your part, and also support mental health in Indonesia, because we're a inclusive community, right? So we want to include something for everybody, and that's what Freedom Summit's about. I think the mountain represents a bit more with mental health. Maybe I feel like I've been talking a long time. I'm going to hand it to you guys. You explain the mountain.
Now, look, while we do that, there's a few things I want to quickly say. So I say it every week, but different viewers every week, right? So Indonesia, 700 plus cultures, 500 plus languages, almost over 17,000 plus islands, right? Now, almost 300 million people, average age 27, something around there. So when you said earlier on, 11 to 19 were the ones that you found to be the most popular ones using the helpline, that kind of hit me. Because when you think about it, a land that populous, right, which is a population that young, 27 average age, 300 million people almost, that hit me, because that's the next generation, right? So if you're watching and you're thinking about impact, I don't think it gets bigger than that, right? 11 to 19 being the people that wanted, which the demand was the highest for during COVID from Bali, right? And you're in a country this young. It just hit me somehow. So, look, you wanted to finish off a little bit about the Freedom Summit. Then after that, we'll talk a little bit about the future. Then we'll go to questions. Okay? Sure. Yeah, over to you.
Look, on that note, Indonesia is a huge country. We didn't realize we'd be the only. We didn't think about it, but we didn't think about it. We just went ahead. But we're supporting people in Manado whose children have committed suicide and they're struggling and they don't know. We're the closest thing to help they have. And these people are Western as well as Indonesian. It's just to be there for them. And climbing these mountains, like, I just want to recognize something about DJ in Dodge City, where he comes from. You know, at the beginning, we were spending all of our efforts trying to do events to just survive, so we could help more people. Now, when DJ come on board, he's a bit of a magic man about this Freedom Summit thing. You know, that he just makes things happen. We can do our work on the ground with the support and brothers together. We can, you know. So anything to support what we're doing. This is for what we're doing. It gives me a purpose. It gives us a purpose, but I just want to touch on a couple of things. You know, I'm going to get to actually how it really is. Recently, like, we've been into mental health where there's been people strapped to beds in nappies, okay? Their families are overseas and don't know how to help them. And we go in and we work with the mental health community. We come in, like BimBim said, and we bring them into the community. We help stabilize them. We also help get them home. We work with the consulates here because we're the closest thing that they know of to help citizens from abroad. You know, so it's not just Indonesians, and Indonesia as well, obviously, you know, but it's a universal problem is what I'm trying to say. So these services are inclusive. Everything we do actually is translated. Rob got us up here in black, white, but that's pretty much our service too. You know, together we can do a lot more, and we don't have government funding. We climb mountains and do crazy stuff to make and break stigma, and we keep the spirit of that, but spirit does not run our services. So it's got us this far, but together we can do a whole lot more.
Thank you, brother. And look, you know, because I love to be led by what the audience here has to say or has to ask. So, you know, moving forward, you know, the future, my brother BimBim, of Bali Bersama Bisa, what would you like to see?
So the future, what I would like to see of Bali Bersama Bisa is one thing that I would like to see, that this Bali Bersama Bisa can have sustainability to provide what we provide now. Because since day one, we're creating this movement. There is a struggling or challenging, you know. So, like Neb said, thanks to DJ and his magic. Before we have DJ on board, we survive monthly by monthly with selling raffle on the street to make this thing happening. So, yeah. So, and that experience is quite challenging for me because I just like to share my personal experience when we do that, you know, like I was kicking out from a cafe and restaurant for several times because try to make a change here by selling the raffle, but thanks to Neb who always keep encourage me, so I'm not stop. So I keep doing what I'm doing and for the good cause. And then finally with the help of the DJ, we can survive not month, but 3 months. And then with the help of a donor, we can survive 1 year to provide this help to the community and also make a difference in here. So the future is, I would like to see the Bali Bersama Bisa have sustainability system who can run by themselves, you know, can run by themselves and keep carry the message, like breaking the stigma about, because us Balinese, I was struggling for asking a help in the past. That's why I choose alcohol and drug as my solution, you know. But now I found out there is a help. What I need is just do my part to ask for that help. With the help of the community, this mental health stuff or help that I call it as a luxury stuff in my life, with the beautiful movement of this community that can be adorable, can be easy to access, you know, that is just a dream for myself. And like DJ said, like have a look the people who sit on the couch at the center waiting for their turn to get a professional care is just priceless. It's giving me purpose to keep doing what we are doing, you know, because we cannot do this alone. We need you guys all.
Brother BimBim, I know that, yeah, I felt that both of you want to add to it. Please do, and then we'll go to the audience.
Yeah, real quickly. We did have a 5-year plan right at the beginning. And funny enough, we're actually on task thanks to people coming along, and together we can. You know, we started in vans, didn't have a facility. Freedom Summit number 1 gave us the facility. Freedom Summit number 2 gave us the services, which are doing really well. Now, our dream was in 5-year plan. Remember what that looks like? Yeah, well, that's a beautiful thing, that one. It's a place where people's skills like permaculture, we do vocational training as well. And we have a 28-day intensive program for Indonesians, because like rehabs here, there's lots. I'm a founder of rehabs in Bali, private rehabs. Indonesians cannot afford that. There's nothing for them here. We have a free 28-day program, 5-day-a-week program that's fully comprehensive for Indonesians, and we also have vocational training using the other yayasans. Together we can, like Ragam, I've forgotten, Sungai Watch, you know, and it's a holistic program, not only in mental health and how to manage, but going to the 5-year plan. Having a place that has got permaculture, has got the recycling depots, it's a place where everyone can come and learn about mental health, support each other, not only in well-being, finding purpose and meaning through people's skills and talents. I really want to sit back on that rocking chair with these 3 guys when I'm older and watch this community rock and think we had a part to do in that. That's my dream.
DJ, over to you, man. Man, my eye is watering tonight. Just saying. Please, yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit hard to follow. All I really wanted to say is, from these guys' conception, there would have been 10,000 reasons no. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody would have said professional mental health, Indonesia, too much stigma, too much red tape. No, and then when it came to Freedom Summit 1, it was in the middle of COVID, and they had government restrictions called PPKM. If any of you guys were on the island, that basically meant you weren't legally allowed to leave your house, basically. I refused to listen. I was like, we have Freedom Summit ahead of us, and we're going to open the only professional mental health facility in Indonesia. I took 60 people. I broke them up over 5 weekends. We could slip it under the law by having them in groups less than 10. So I spent the next 5 weekends in a row climbing mountains away from my family, blah, blah, blah. But we did it, And then come the next lot, like, professional mental health facility, that's going to cost a few $100,000 a month to operate. Yeah, we understand that, right? A few $100,000 a year, sorry. Yeah, we understand that. Then they would say, well, you don't have money. There's no way you're going to do this. We don't listen to them, We keep pushing for what we're doing, And Agung right now is officially closed. So we have worked with the local spiritual leaders, the priest of the mountain, and he's going to hike with us, yeah? That's what happens when people say, Agung's closed, you can't do it. I say, yes, I can. Let me find the way. And Bali Bersama Bisa is looking at a challenge right now to keep going. But as they said, together we can, and I can tell you, we will find a way.
Round of applause. Brothers, much respect. Okay, Guz, we have a third mic, right? Yeah, just want to check, maybe do a check to see if it's on. So in about a minute or so, question over here, David and Tobes, great, and Carol. Okay, I think there'll be a lot of questions. Oh, doctor, thank you. So, Brother Guzman, if it's working, we start with Sister Carol, yeah, and then we just keep moving it, yeah. So just check it's working, darling.
Yes, is it working? Can you hear me?
Yeah. So yes, you can. So, but by the way, the camera over here swivels. Yeah. So you'll be on camera if you're asking a question, just so you know.
Okay. First of all, thank you, and you're doing an amazing job. So this is incredibly inspiring. But I feel that we haven't actually really talked about mental health per se, and I'm really interested in finding out what Indonesians struggle with, what are the main issues that they struggle with when it comes to mental health, and what are these struggles when it comes to foreigners. How do they differ? Yes. So what are their main struggles? Because I wouldn't expect that Indonesians struggle with exactly the same thing as foreigners, and if they do, then that would be really great to know. So that's question number one. And BimBim,
maybe we just start with question number one first. Okay. So let them answer, then we'll come back to Carol. So question number one, BimBim, is what mental health issues, maybe the top 1 or 2, do Indonesians come with? And the same for foreigners. Yeah, over to you.
So, the top mental health issue happened in Indonesia, as from the local, you mean, yeah? So Indonesian is according our statistic in the center is the top one is a major depression, reaching out. Major depression, and then that's yeah, and other, what is that called?
Major depressive disorder.
Major depression disorder. Bipolar also, schizophrenia, psychotic, and stuff like that. Addiction. But for the Indonesian, for the local, is mental health is a luxury treatment. So not everyone can access it. So from the depression like that is leading them the the people who suffering that one is they cannot look after themselves and be fit enough to do the work. Yeah, they normally ending up with isolate, and then let that lead to the depression. So because of the mental health is expensive stuff, people with the mental health disorders, they are normally doesn't have the insurance, we call it BPJS, because the insurance is straight away off when you don't do the monthly payment. So that situation and condition make them go slide into deep hole and rock bottom very easy. And then when something going wrong and they go into psychotic situation, the only thing that they can have is a viral on the social media or news.
Yeah. And foreigners?
And for the foreigners is Nev can answer that one.
I don't think it's much different. Really, it's major depressive disorder generally. But with foreigners, it's generally psychosis, because that's when we get called up. People come along to the centre suffering anxiety, depression, and that's really good. They come along, and the beautiful thing about Connection Night is great. We sort of push people to come along to Connection Night first and foremost, or counselling session, but because at Connection Night, people say, hey, I'm suffering from anxiety, and we'll put up our hands. And then people that are suffering different disorders from different cultures, we realise we bridge the gaps between what you're talking about. Because it's not, depression is depression and anxiety. So it's not any different than my experience from working in New Zealand than it is here, except for the cultural understandings and stigma around it within the Indonesian culture. But depression, generally, suicidal ideation, but if it's psychosis, then it could be onset of schizophrenia or episodic schizophrenia, something like that.
Next question. Oh wait, you want to go? Yeah, because Carol's got a follow-up.
Yeah, I would just add, because one thing that, like, when we opened the center, we thought we'd see a lot of addiction and drug abuse coming through. It's only 5%. Yeah, so the facility is actually about mental health in general, not focused on just addiction, right? So it's only 5% of the people coming through the door that is their problem, right? So the other 95% are in all different categories, and like they said, they have it well documented. Yeah.
Next question, Carol.
Yeah, sorry to push on this one, but I understand that there is depression, but what I want to know is, what are people depressed about? What is the main concern? Because, okay, I mean, when it comes to mental health, yeah. I mean, I really would love, what are the biggest struggles of people, and to see where really the issue is, because I think it helps other people also understand where they can help.
All right, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna first say we're in a developing country where economics is a struggle, right? So when he refers to luxury problem, I would first and foremost say, if you don't have the ability to feed yourself, that is more than mental health, but there is mental health associated with that. But those are not the kind of people that are showing up at the facility is of yet, because still a lack of awareness, a lack of understanding, a lack of even knowing that we're open, right? So the ones that are coming through the facility, I would say we see, I think it's somewhere around 30% that don't have a job, and then others who are in lower economic standing is about another 30%, and then the remaining 40% are from all different sectors, right? I don't know. Maybe you can identify better the root causes.
Yeah, just one is fine, and we move on. Yeah, a few questions.
Okay, I was thinking about this earlier, actually. Like I said, Bali has 4 times higher suicide rate than the rest of Indonesia per capita per head. Yeah. Okay. Now, a lot of people that come here from off the that aren't Balinese, that are Indonesian, that come from Jawa and things like that. It's the same for the Westerners. They come here looking for the dream, the Bali dream. Well, Bali's got a lot of broken dreams, people, you know, and there's nowhere to get. They feel isolated, they feel alone, there's no services there for them. That's why we put up our hands. We're here, you're not alone. And it's that kind of thing that brings us on the onset of depression, no one to talk to. So I think that's a pretty good example in that field. And within the Balinese and Indonesian culture generally, it's a very malu culture. So to talking about how you truly feel is what we're trying to break through, that it's okay to speak your feelings.
Malu is shame, yeah? Malu.
Shame. And to talk about this thing, it's a very much, it's a pride thing as well, but we're trying to break that. These guys, you know, that are Indonesian and Balinese are the leaders in that, and, you know, together we can.
All right, Carol, you got next question? Last one? Yeah, it's okay. Goose, you need to, maybe you switched it off, darling. Yeah.
No, I didn't touch it.
So look, we're just checking the mic, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it work now?
Yeah.
Okay. You partly answered my question because it was to BimBim with regard to the Balinese culture and what stops people from Balinese speak about their mental health. And especially, is there any kind of stigma around Balinese religion that is practiced here on the island that stops people from talking about their problems?
Thanks, Carol. Toby, if you grab the mic, I think it's the last one. Yeah. So yeah. I'll just go. So next question. Yeah, move on.
I shall answer first.
Please, yeah, of course. Yeah, answer
Okay,
first.
thank you, Carol. Yeah, the stigma is huge from our community about mental health. That is why the biggest obstacle for our community to reaching out for help is the stigma. Because one thing is mental health is common related into if you have a mental health issue, you just need to pray. Lack of religion, that's one of the things. Lack of faith. But to answer your question, what is the triggering the depression is, we got in the statistics 70% people who use our services who having depression is come for pekerja swasta, private sector employee. So the pressure of the work this time that push them to have a power that can be a multitask. Example, someone to have a marketing position, something like that, must have skill into the social media, creating content, know about the analytic and stuff like that. So 70% of the community who come reaching out from our services come from private sector, corporate private sector. So the loaded of stress of work environment that lead them to the depression.
Mamma mia. Firstly, Carol, thank you for the line of questioning. We'll do the other questions, and I know you have one more. After we hear everybody else, if there's one that comes up, we can come back to you if we need to. Toby, over to you, mate. Just wait for Guzman to. Don't touch that. He'll mic you up there. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I think one of my questions was answered, but I'd like to know the ratio of like foreigners or bulays to like Indonesians. That'd be quite interesting. Is there much of a difference? Is it 70% or is it 30% or yeah? So
what's the ratio of people coming in which are foreigner and Indonesian? So is it 70% foreigner and 30% Indonesian, for example? What would you say the ratio is?
So until this time, we 1 year open the door, nearly 1 year open the door. The ratio of the foreigner and Indonesian is 35-65%. 35 is foreigners and 65 is local.
Okay, all right. So my other question is, like psychosis per se isn't a mental illness, right? Or true mental illness. in Australia, and I've dealt with sort of mental health for a while now. In Australia, like psychosis is purely drug related. So a lot of psychosis is sort of like that up and down. You said only 5% are drug related. So what triggers psychosis in people? That's what I'd like to know, because often there is a sort of a trigger or a trauma associated with that. Can you share some insight into that?
Right. So next year is a doctor who's going to answer the question very soon. But that's one who can answer it. But going back to you fellas here. So the question is, what have you found here that triggers psychosis? Yeah. So that's the question. So anyone want to take that question? Nev, listen, mate. I don't have to. But everyone's looking at you, mate. So it's you, Nev.
Yeah, it's my qualifications. Sorry. Well, Shabu's a good one. You know, I mean, I don't mean to state the obvious. That's something too. The drug use here and things like that in Indonesia, it's not in the face. It's behind the doors. And I don't mind saying the arak problem within the ceremonies, within the Balinese is huge. We get a lot of people coming in talking about that, and, you know, it's quite insightful. But psychosis, it's not all drug induced. Some of it's predisposition stuff coming up later through, you know, stressful times, through that work stuff that BimBim was talking about. Feeling alone, mixtures of that. But yeah, I mean, the triggers are very...
What about trauma? Is that related?
Well, traumas, yeah, look, I mean, yeah, we do a lot of, with mental health in particular, trauma is such a broad spectrum term, but dealing with underlying issues is always part of healing within mental health, for sure. And whether it's from the Balinese families, I mean, BimBim himself, he's got his own story about healing himself and finding himself because of, yeah, having to pull away from a mindset that isn't serving. I don't know if that says exactly what you're asking, but...
So, To, I know DJ wants to jump on. What I find is that the questions that you ask sometimes aren't always 100% answered, but then other questions from other people fill in the gaps. So let it play out, and if by the time we roll around to here you still have something left, either of you, then just raise your hand again and we'll seal it. So DJ, you wanted to add to that?
I was just going to say, what does the word psychosis actually look like, you know? Because when I think of psychosis, I think of the guys that make the social media news, you know? The guy that's out in his underwear running in the middle of the streets. Yeah, that is psychosis, but psychosis can happen on a less severe level. And I mean, I don't know myself. I'm no mental health expert. That is not my field. But what I do see is that a lot of people that come into the facility would be borderline psychosis when, like, first coming in, you know? In my opinion. Yeah, in my opinion.
So, Doc. Hello, my darling. Good to see you today. And now, is it working? Don't push any buttons. Too late. You push your button. So just speak and we'll see if it's working. No? Okay. Maybe if you pass it back to Guz or just push.
Okay, that's work.
All right. Great. So firstly, maybe just introduce yourself very quickly. And then maybe just would love to get your insight on that. Just because you're here and you're Indonesian, beautiful Indonesian doctor. Let's hear from you.
All right. A little bit about myself. My name is Elvina, and I'm a GP. I'm a medical doctor. My journey is that I'm about to take specialty in psychiatry. It's like around the pandemic time. But then things will change during that time because I started to find things called breathwork. Basically, in this state, I started to realize that if I'm going into psychiatry as a specialist doctor, things will change. I will face into cases which is it's already hard to fix. Otherwise, now I find the cases which is I can go into preventative things and not to pathologizing things. It's more into encouraging people to heal themselves. So it's very powerful. I really love the things that you do. Guys, thank you so much for making this. It's such a dream as how can I say? As a mental health worker, seeing that is such a wonderful thing. And I'm also Indonesian, so I want to say thank you so much for making this. Before I'm asking my question, which is it will be easier, but maybe I can give a bit of my thought about that question about what psychosis is. So, psychosis basically it's a symptoms that happens like when people doesn't respond in a normal way. For example, like hallucination, they see certain things, they hear certain things. That can be vision, can be seeing something, or maybe also they feeling being haunted or things like that. Sometimes many stories around that, which is sometimes people refer to like a ghost and things like that, and you say like, oh, you're not normal. So that's called psychosis. So it can be form of schizophrenia and things like that. And there is different type of it, like schizophrenia, which is like hyperphrenic, is like they behaving like children, paranoid. They suspecting everyone want to kill them, for example, like this kind of thing. So basically the science behind of it, if we search a lot of things was based on still under research, so means that what their theory is, but the majority, the causing of it is still unknown. There is a theory that say this because of biochemicals of the brain. Two, there is a theory that say that because the background of it, they have the family that's also have that. So this person is have prior more having that. So and my trainees, we always ask this, like, do you have your families that also have these things? Like, a lot of time is actually the answer is yes. And also, yes, the major things is the trigger itself, the problem of life. And the third is the poor mental resilience, because that's actually very important. We learn about how we can deal with life. That skill, the skill of mental resilience is very important. I think it's run out battery. So yeah.
So your question.
So my question is about suicide.
Right, so
do you have another?
Yeah,
mic,
we'll try. So this is the first time we've used these other mics here. So hence the reason why maybe it takes a little bit more time for us to get used to it. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is actually about suicide, because this is a big thing. Because people that wanting to do suicide, a lot of time they do not want to seek help. They scared. They want to do it. They just do it behind of the door. Now how to find this out? Basically, people that close to them start to notice that this is not okay. Or maybe this person will start to communicate with this closest person. So in that case, is that how you respond this? Because in another country, a lot of things happen, like they have a emergency call, and then there is a team that coming to their home. Because basically this type of people, they do not want to be pulled into like health services or being labeled like crazy or you are sick or anything. It's just so difficult. Imagine there is like a big guy who just say no and I don't want to go. How you pull this person into the clinics, right, or into your place? So is there any services that can come home, something like that, and there is a person that can have like an emergency call? Because I feel that this is the first way to spot and prevent the suicide, because it's getting bigger more and more as the time goes.
Now, love what you said. So glad you're here. Now, is there a specific question that you have? You got it? You got it? Okay,
yeah,
you got it.
Thank
you.
So we do have Bisa helpline. So that is exactly what you're talking about. So it's a service that people can reach out to get what BimBim described earlier as a certified listener, yeah? So they reach out to the helpline and they get somebody that will correspond with them and then directly into one-on-one counseling. Now, we are quite limited to Bali, but if in Bali, we can actually refer them into the center and give them professional help straight away. For the ones that are more more distant. We do have the one-on-one counseling. We'll suggest programs for them. We'll suggest maintenance things for them. Give them the basic tools that have worked before, if that makes sense. Yeah. But you're still identifying a huge problem, right? Not only here in Bali, but across Indonesia, right? And I think that's kind of a global problem, right? The ones that do succeed are the ones most unlikely to show signs, symptoms, or reach out for help, right?
Yes. And also, do you know Puskesmas, which is the first health services, and it's located into like also in the rural area. If possible, like have that collaboration with them, and because they're not very mental health concerned, that's what it is.
Already, I don't know the quantity. I think the guy in the black shirt there would be able to tell us the quantity, but we have collaborations with a lot of the Puskesmas around the island, yeah.
That's cool.
Wonderful. Dr. Elvina, great to see you, darling. If you could pass the mic behind you, I think we got one more question or so. By the way, guys, Health Hub, I met Dr. Elvina through our friends at Health Hub Bali. So I said to you that for I think 36 episodes we've done the first Monday of every month. They're still continuing now. We basically have Health Hub Bali as a collaboration partner. The founder's a good friend, and we work together as well. Tracy G, yeah. So I mean, we also dealt a little bit with mental health on one of those or a few of those episodes. So it could be interesting to explore that kind of collaboration there. There's a lot we're doing with Bali Medical Tourism Association with Dr. Patrajaya and a few of the others. So again, I think duplicate, collaborate, choose, collaborate works together. We can. That's something I think we should facilitate. David, over to you, brother.
Yeah. So thank you, Robert, for organizing such an important symposium and panel. And I hope that my comments will not come across as a criticism. I know you're pushing a rock uphill, and you're already doing 10 times more than anyone thought is possible. So I commend your work, perseverance, courage, and soul. You're putting in your soul into this. Now, I happen to be reading a book about depression in the last week. It's called Lost Connections by a British guy, John Harari. I recommend anyone to read such book. The first question was already asked by Carol, so I'm okay with that. So I have not been in Bali for long. However, I can see young, smiley faces of beautiful Balinese people, very welcoming. You find more grumpy faces in high-density cities than here. And if I were a real young person here, so what's my future? I'm going straight to the point here. Is it Grab driver or waiter, right? So if I see so many, let's call, wealthy, white, foreigner people coming in, having beautiful saunas, me included, by the way, and great food, which cost, I don't know how many times more. I talked to one security person. He looked at my helmet and he said, wow, your helmet is very nice. Now, my helmet costs 10 times less than it costs in Italy. And I thought, wow, you cannot afford a helmet. So I would be depressed too. But also, so the question is, what is your belief around antidepressants versus environmental factors? And by environmental factors, I mean, I can be with 100 people around me, but I don't feel understood. So if I have so many foreigners around me who have a life that is completely different from mine, I would feel a bit disconnected. And then on top of it, I'm addicted to mobile phones, if I were a young guy, right? I know I'm stating the obvious things to you, but what I'm trying to do is what can we do together? And by the way, I'm offering my help as well, so I can come over to you. But what can we do together to create more realistic heart-to-heart connections among young people and give them hope that they can also open a beautiful spa instead of having a white rich foreigner which has $1 million of investment doing it. No disrespect to entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself and I can see the opportunities, but to what extent is a 19-year-old now, when he's 30, having the ability to open a business here? Because that would decrease the depression and would also increase the excitement about staying here. So, to make a long story short, how much do you believe into antidepressants? And what do you suggest we can do to create more connections among locals, among themselves, get away from the mobile phone? And on top of it, how can we create connections between the whites, and let's be politically incorrect, white, black, let's say the white, rich Europeans, Americans that come here, so that we are not so detached. Because in 20 years' time, if we carry on like this, more and more people will be depressed. We have taken the land. No, you know what I mean.
Let me help you, because I know the guys will answer your question, and I know where you're going.
Okay.
So the three-part question is, just go straight for the three-part question.
Three-part question. Do you believe in antidepressants, or do you believe more in environmental factors, such as, for example, heart-to-heart connections? Yeah. And the other part is, what can we do to create more heart-to-heart connections and also to get more rich foreigners to get to know the reality of the facts? For example, I know about depression. I didn't know Bali is 4 times more than other islands.
So, Nev, you've got the microphone. You want to answer part of that, and then we'll flip it around. Thank you for the question. Yeah.
Okay, the first bit. Look, nature, nurture, that's what you're talking about. They're a combination of factors, and they need to be treated at the same time. But here's the thing. This is Bali. A lot of people come here for wellness and things. And I get sense from the yoga barn, from Cosmos Oasis, and also these places, people doing Kundalini by people that do not know about their not practicing properly, and people are spinning out. Okay? Now, mental health, when you do, I'm a breath worker myself. I do all sorts of things. I do EMDR. I do a lot of other things, cognitive behavioral therapist as well. But stabilization, this is an argument I have in Indonesia a lot, okay? When people are psychotic, you need to medicate them to get stable, to teach them the tools to get well. When someone is on psychosis, good luck giving them a breathwork session and a meditation. It just ain't going to happen. Medications are necessary and they have their place, but it's a dual thing. And I'm not saying, they're the answer, they're the band-aid at the beginning. It's the ambulance. But the process to bring about that in an environment where we teach people, like our course, it's cognitive behavioral therapy, DBT, dialectic behavioral therapy, all sorts of modalities to find wellness, the breath work, cultural stuff. But yeah, medicate. The argument and my thing, if you're talking about mental health, medications and doctors have their place for sure, and so does antidepressants, and so do people that have chemical deficiencies that are missing certain things that they need. And it's people that say, oh, you don't need that, you need this, that can really, people can die from that. And educating that within the communities of Bali is something these guys do as well. And I think that's my passionate one about that.
Now, DJ, you want the other part? Also, the microphone. We've got 1 or 2 more questions only now. Yeah, to you. Any questions over here? Just double checking. 2 over here. Okay, with the questions coming next, if you don't mind, let's get straight to the question. All right, just for sake of time. But he's going to finish off first. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure the name of the actual project, but I'm assuming you have probably seen this, right? Where they were giving drugged water to a rat, and the rat, when left in a cage by himself, he would drink the water until he overdosed and died. Yeah. So then they put a whole bunch of rats in an oasis of what rats would want to do. There was wheels to exercise, there was mates, and there was all that stuff, right? So they could run around exercising, and they had the drug water and they had the clean water. And at the point when the rats were in the oasis, 100% of rats chose to drink only water, not the drugged water. Yeah. So I'm a real firm believer in community and connection. Yeah. And I think that stems across all colors, all economics, and what I see, and it's what Bali actually has to offer more than anywhere else I've ever been in the world, is their, for lack of a better word, spirituality, right? So their spirituality is what allows them to be able to live in them circumstances you've mentioned and go, it's okay, you know, in the karmic sense of things. And I think by breaking down our own walls and speaking vulnerably, you know, like if I come to you and I tell you that I woke up on the bad side of the bed, I'm not sure if I'm a good father, right? If I do that to a father, he's automatically going to feel open to tell me about himself as well, right? So by allowing myself to be vulnerable, it gives you the okay, no matter who you are, to be vulnerable too. And I only have found that through my own mental health practice and by speaking honest and open, and all of a sudden I'll have a group of 5 people listening to me about my own like thoughts of me not being good enough, you know. So I think it is like a community aspect of being open and honest, you know.
And just to add to the second, first you want to thank Carol, Toby, obviously Doc, thank you so much, Elvina, David, I appreciate you, because they're great questions. I mean, the depth of the question tells you about the person asking it. And the fact that you care, and just talking about you for now, but all of the questions that you care about deeply about what's happening here and the differences that you see from your viewpoint, and the fact that you've offered to go and help, really appreciated. The second part of your question, I see things a bit differently. I've been sitting in this chair for a while, and one of the beautiful things I get the chance to see is what's happening in 10 different markets by talking to the leaders, disruptors, stakeholders of each. So when it comes to Balinese or Indonesian at large, feeling left behind and so on, I respect the question. What I also see is a whole bunch of projects out there where Indonesians and foreigners are coming together and doing incredible things, man. And, you know, look at the blockchain sector. The Indonesian blockchain sector, there's one guy, there's more than one, but one who I'll talk about, his name is Igede Anta Rahman, good mate. He has created what's called Mandala chains along with a team, and it is backed by government. It's like one of the first layer zero / hybrids, which is working with government. It's huge. Now, this guy, let me finish. So what I'm trying to say to you is that I have 20 examples I could give you, but I want to hear a question. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are people, the tide is rising. So there's a lot more interaction and working together than you can possibly see. The only reason why I can see it is because I talk to all these people every week, right? But it's a great question and most appreciated. I know you have more, but let's move on to this. Just a question, yeah?
What you're saying, is it happening in Bali?
Happening in Bali and Indonesia at large, both. Yeah.
Very quickly, one question about Indonesians in your program. How many of them would be able to understand English? Because if there's anyone in the audience that can help, and I can, would we be working with Westerners? Because the Indonesian, I can't speak Bahasa, but
they said earlier on that they translate each one is both English and Bahasa.
Oh, okay. And then quickly, your point about what can we do to give, I think, hope. Did you say that? Something like that.
Encourage.
I went to a meeting, Rotary, my first Rotary Canggu meeting a couple of weeks ago. They spoke about exactly that, how they could have education programs with little kids to give them hope, to give them a better vision for their life rather than being a Grab driver or a whatever. And the other thing is there's a mouse study. If you put a mouse in a bucket of water, it'll swim like crazy. It can't see out of the bucket. It'll swim like crazy, but then it gets tired and it loses hope. So it'll go under. But if you pick it up and let it look out of the bucket, you put it back in, it'll swim like crazy again till it gets too tired again. So it's about giving them hope and a vision for the future, a different vision for their life.
Beautiful. Thank you for the question. DJ wants to chime in. If we move this microphone over this direction, we'll have 2 last questions, and then after that we'll wrap. Yeah, so you've passed along. Thank you. Yeah, just pass it on for now because I want these guys to get it. After we can deal with you. Otherwise, these guys don't really get heard. And I know you have a great question, but we need to deal with this first. Over to you, brother.
All right, so I'm not only mental health. I'd work in the NGO sector, and I fund 4 NGOs on island, and I can talk about basically what those things are disseminating. I work with generational trash picker kids. I work with marginalized women from compromised backgrounds. And so in the last few years, we've been able to uplift 300 young women out of what I would consider marginalized situations through education, English language development, fair job placement, and in some of the jobs that were mentioned, But for these young women, they're coming out of villages where no electricity, dirt floors, and in literally marginalized situations. They have set their mind up by the time they're 10, 11 years old that this is their life. They're stuck in the dirt. So when you give them a chance to be a waitress at Hyatt Hotel or a Leela or something, they take it in stride. And I'll reiterate that. When we were in the middle of COVID, I was in a meeting with the regional director of Hyatt Southeast Asia, and we were talking about all the employee cuts, yeah? And he's saying, we've had to cut 85% of our employees across the island, yeah? In Bali of Hyatt, yeah? And out of the 15% that was remaining, none of our girls, over a dozen, lost their job, and that was based on performance alone. Not because they came from our program, but because they showed up and they worked. And I think that goes to show, if somebody is given the opportunity, they take it and they're grateful and they make the most out of it and they're proud to do it, because we only know what we know, right? So sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing.
One thing which I've seen, get your question ready, I can see you're ready. One thing which I've seen, just sitting, again, not because I'm special, because I just sit in this chair for a long time and I talk to a lot of people. One thing I've seen is an understanding that, it's not necessarily about foreigners and Indonesians. What it's actually about, and I see this more and more, is what do you bring to the table, right? And so when you look at things like usada, and you start to study what that is, when you look at subak, and you start to study what that is, you look at things like Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, Pancasila, you start to look at these things, then you begin to understand that we all come with different skills. And it's actually a mix. How do we bring in what is missing? As opposed to one is higher, one is lower. No, it's like, I have this, what can I bring to the table? I have that, what can I bring to the table? And I feel just through the sentiment of the different interviews that we've done, that is becoming more and more evident, as opposed to, and I'm not targeting anybody here, I come in, I know better because I come from X place and you don't, therefore I should tell you what to do. I find that generally speaking now, it's more of like, well, I bring this to the table, but I can also learn this from you, Usada, this from you, Subak, this from you, Pancasila, this from you, Gotong Royong, this from you, Trihita Karana. So this is what I've kind of seen over the years of sitting here, which kind of makes me feel pretty good. Your question.
Yes, hi, it's Evie. Thank you so much for showing up in such an amazing way. It really touches my heart. I have a question. I would love to know if there's any education in schools, because I was really touched by you sharing that, it's the highest rate of suicide for children. So if there would be education, or if there would be any role of the government in prevention of suicide amongst children, that would be really beautiful. Like, is that the case
Great
now,
question.
or would that potentially be in the future?
Great question. If you pass on to Sebastian.
Thank you for the question, though. So we've been aware with that kind of situation happening in our community. That's why we have one NGO under umbrella Bali Bersama Bisa. They are a bunch of professional mental health inside, like theater, psycholog, mental health nurse, and also clinical psychologist. So we are aware that we need to start the education about preventing the suicidal since age young. Yeah, so that's why one of our NGO have a mission to teach the student in the school to be the first support system for their friend. So we train the student to be a good listeners for their peer, because we train the student to be a good listeners without direction, without stigma, and just be there for them, you know. So suicidal a thought or attempt happening because loss of the purpose, feeling stuck, feel doesn't hurt. That's why in the school we train them to express their feeling, to reach out to the right person.
Interns as well.
Yeah. And also to the interns. Yeah, that is what we're doing in our community.
I think the sad reality is there's a big lack of awareness. But in good news, of recently, these guys are going to start setting up a system for Indonesians going to study abroad at a university level, and they've called on these guys to set up that education platform and give the students that are going to, somewhere new, going to feel isolated, the toolkit to be able to handle that, right? So the government is becoming a little bit aware, right? This was led by the Australian consulate, but they had nowhere to turn to get such services. Where did they turn, right? Bali Bersama Bisa, right? So it shows it's coming and that these guys are the pioneers, yeah?
Beautiful question. Thank you, darling. So, Seb, you had a question, right? Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you from my side as well for this informative discussion so far. Maybe this was answered already, but I just was curious how like a plan for people seeking help would look like. You said like they have a program, something like this. Like, is this different for every person? I would believe, depending on the mental issue that they have, or is there something that is common? And another thing that I could just offer is we're building a regenerative farm 45 minutes away from here, and if you guys want to collaborate at some point, feel free to have a chat.
Damn straight.
100%. This is what it's about, right? Like I heard a doctor speak earlier. I'm definitely want to get your contact before we go. The people still have to eat, whether they're mentally unwell or not, right? But I think when dealing with case management, it does vary client to client, but we have a lot to offer. So the professional psychiatrist, the psychologist, if it's less severe, maybe it's a counselor, that in combination with support groups, vocational outreach, and then physical fitness as well. But again, back to them support groups of community and connection, so yeah, each one I would like to believe gets tailor-made, but a lot of them would be looking very similar to other patients, right?
So on that note, we're going to begin to wrap up right now. Now, you had one thing left. Now, if it's very important, we can deal with it now, but quickly. Otherwise, we can deal with it afterwards. Yeah, but it's related to this. Yeah. Okay. Microphone, please. Yeah. So just quickly, please, because we're a little bit over time, a little bit, but it's the right time, so it's okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Just push the button, I think.
Thanks, Robert. I just wanted to make a suggestion. Okay, so I know it's nice to go abroad and study as if you are a young person. When I was 22, I left Italy. I went to London. I couldn't speak English at all. Because I learned how to speak English and write, my opportunities opened up immensely. So we don't need to go abroad. We need a school that teaches English really, really well, as if the person is speaking almost like a native. Because let's be honest, when people interview a candidate and that candidate expresses himself or herself really well, stands a big chance to get a job. Yeah, they wouldn't say this on social media, but in fact, I recruited people that speak good English, didn't have a skill. Okay, once they speak good English, then they can create connection between foreigners and locals, whether they are children, whether they are grown-ups. Plus, we can teach entrepreneurship, self-discipline, and most of all, self-teaching. Now, Elon Musk just showed yesterday the rocket came back and there was an electronic arm that got hold of this rocket, right? Ask him how he learned how to build a space rocket company. He read books. This guy was reading 2 books a day when he was a kid. Yeah? So we can have, okay, I'm not saying that we all need to be like Elon Musk, but we can be contented with what we have and we can create it through the internet by learning English really, really well. And I think this is lacking. It's lacking even in Italy. So Bali can be one of the most international places in the world. It already is for me. I meet people here that I find hard to meet in London and in Singapore, and I worked and lived in both cities. Why don't we offer this opportunity to the young people? Once they learn English, they have the whole world and some of the best minds already here. They don't have to go abroad to do what? A degree on culinary or something? So you have everybody here.
So I'm going to stop you there. Toby, just turn around and look him in the eye and smile.
Nice.
All right. You two will be talking. Toby's building a fund, $100 million, sustainable fund. But there's a lot of things that you guys have in common. We need to wrap pretty soon, Toby, but over to you.
Yeah, I think...
you switched it off. Yeah. It's fine. Try it again.
Here we go. Look, I'll just shout it out.
Yeah.
Look, I think it needs to go above just like teaching people English. I think
That's right.
the main reason people are where they are is simply it's a lack of hope and purpose. And I think if we can define that a little bit better and give people that purpose, I think you've seen that for yourselves. You know, you could have fallen back into recidivism, or you could just move on and create something that has purpose and meaning. I think that's the real core issue, other than obviously trauma, but giving hope. And look, I'd say a lot of people, they just have no hope. Young, doesn't matter if they speak English or not. It doesn't make any difference. But if they have hope and purpose, I think that's the real thing, yeah?
Now, just thank you so much. So the reason why I asked you to look at each other, and Tobes is building a whole team, Indonesian team, right? And Joe's, I knew it was Joe because he's tuning in that way. Have a chat to Joe as well. There's a lot that you can do together, and there's a lot they're already doing in relation to what you've just said. So it's all kind of connected. So, gentlemen, coming back to this, I'm going to give you in about a minute or so. I know people are like, how long is the show? Oh, it's about an hour. Tonight it's about 2 hours, but that's okay. We go as long as we need to go. But the final question will be, you know, like, is there anything that you want to add, right? Now, it can be you repeating something that you've said already. Obviously, you're going to mention how they can do the Freedom Summit, but not yet. Don't worry, we'll do that after. Of course I'm in. I know. Well, come on, we know it. So, number one, is there anything you want to say? Please mention Freedom Summit and how people can get involved. Bali Bersama Bisa, how do they contact them? Please let everybody know how you can contact Bali Bersama Bisa, right? Not yet, in about a minute and a half, right? So the other thing is that if there's anything else, Brother BimBim, that you came thinking, I want to talk about this, or you've heard some questions, you've heard some feedback, it's like, you know what? I think it's really important that I say this now. You're going to get a chance to do that, right? Brother DJ, knowing you, the miracle man, if there's anything that you want to empower people here with, to finish with, please do so, right? In about a minute and a bit. Give that microphone to Nev to start with. So to everybody else, I just want to thank everybody who's come in person, those who are watching online, those who are going to share this with other people, because I know you are, right? Very important. And next week, interesting show. It's about travel. So for those of you who would like to win, check this one out. Exotic Island Escape as a giveaway for free for 2 people. I think it's 3 days and 2 nights. 3 days and 2 nights. You got to come next week. So it's in person. It's in the Gillies, if you want to know. It's not Gilly Tea, by the way, or Gilly Air. You would have figured it out by now. It's an incredible resort. So that's what we're going to do next week, right? So you should come in person, right? Who else do I want to thank? Tropical Nomad. I've got Brother Guzman over here. I've got Brother Hadis somewhere else. And I've got Sister Ayi who's somewhere else as well. So thank you very much indeed. This was episode number 443, I think it was. 40, there you go. Next week, 444. Work out the numerology runs around you, what that means. So fellas, once again, like, you're my brothers. We're all brothers and sisters here. Whenever you need to come on, you let me know. Matilda's coming back soon. She doesn't know it yet, but she is. She's nodding her head. By the way, Francisca Dimitri is the other lady who accompanied Matilda on this historic 7 Summits Challenge. So Francisca, if I didn't mention before, Frankie, I'm sorry, darling. But I did it now. We're good. Okay. Starting with you, Nev, right? As I mentioned before, anything that you want to finish off with, feel free.
Well, thanks for having us. And, Freedom Summit, this is what's going to make it happen. We need this to happen. Look, my tutor said to me years ago, he said, Nev, pick one thing and make a difference. And I heard a lot of stuff here tonight, but, we're spinning a lot of plates for mental health. And we've chucked too many things into our program at times, and we're running thin on manpower to, we can't fix the whole of Bali. And mental health is a massive, massive gap. It's huge. We're the only ones gathering data, and spirit and hope. That's what feeds our community. We've done this with no money. I spent like a year. Alpha Mart was my shower. We've been on this is why I like this community, because as far as I'm concerned, these are people that don't theorize. And they actually get their hands dirty, and we're out there picking up people off the streets for mental health. And these people are climbing a mountain for mental health. The other things, I hope, are a byproduct. But at the moment, we're learning that we're trying to do too much at once. And we're a small community that we know if we keep the spirit and the hope, we've got massive spirit. These guys, that's what keeps us going. It ain't the money, because we don't get paid well. It's not the money. It's the purpose, it's the meaning, and it's the spirit. And if we lose that, we've lost everything. And that's what's going to get this people up this mountain, and that's what's going to be nursing them later. And it's all about spirit, actually, and that's mental health. So I think that's me.
Thank you. I think we'll do DJ. I think we'll do you last, BimBim. I'm feeling we'll do you last, brother, because, the BimBim last. Come on, baby. Come on.
I just hope you heard something here that did inspire you, and that you will walk away from here and have it burn into your mind that there is help available, because you're going to, if you live here long term, you're going to come across somebody that needs the help and don't know where to turn. So just remember, and we have this little thing that we'll do at the end that will help with that. Yeah?
By the way, before you give it over, we're going to leave BimBim, make it easy for him. So, Bali Bersama Bisa, how do they get in contact? Freedom Summit, how do they do it? How do they get involved? It's you.
All right, so Bali Bersama Bisa, check it into Google. You will find it. Bisa helpline. You can also check that into Google. You will find it. Freedom.
Bisa helpline.
Yeah, BISA. So that means like can. Yeah, so you can do something. So BISA helpline. And for Freedom Summit, you're also just going to, Google is a magical thing. But before you go tonight, we have Freedom Summit cards. There's QR codes on those. You can scan those. That will bring you to a landing page that will inform you more about Freedom Summit and what we're actually doing. Again, it's starting this Thursday coming. So we're only 3 days away from it kicking off with the division that will be climbing Agung first. But if you want to do something less extreme, that is also on offer for you, right? So a bit over 60 sign-ups so far. I don't want to go into the number raised yet because I want it to be even bigger. But we've already secured a few months of operations, So it's looking good, but we still need your help. Spread the word, whether it's about Freedom Summit, whether it's about Bali Bersama Bisa, or whether it's about helping somebody that might need help, because I think if you look around, we all know somebody, that could probably use a little bit of help. Anyway, that's me.
Okay.
Brother BimBim.
Thank you. Yeah, thing from me, I like what this gentleman said about hope, yeah. So 2018, 30 of August 2018, I was released from Kerobokan jail, and then I see this government fund, rehabilitation, I see hope. And then when I go through the program of rehabilitation, I have a faith. Yeah? And then when I meet Nev, after I graduation, there is a hope again to make a difference here in Bali and Indonesia, and give me faith, give me courage to keep doing what we're doing, even need to selling rifle on the street. I met this gentleman, another hope, and then we're creating a bigger movement, a bigger impact. So today, I was here because of a brother Rob to meet with you all guys. There is another hope for me to continue doing what we can do to help the community who need help, to educate the community to seeking for help, and to provide a hope to the community that it's okay. When you feel not okay, ask for help. There is a help in Bali Bersama Bisa. Okay? So before I finish my statement, so we have what, Nev?
Oh yeah, can I do my role? Okay, can you guys be with us? This is going. You see this around.
Give me microphone.
We're going to be famous, and it's been over. Well, we are, because we're determined to make us famous, and this is a little tagline. Okay. Now, I've had who was the second guy that didn't make president? Prabowo.
Doesn't matter.
No. We've had Prabowo doing this. We've had all sorts of people. The mayor of Bali. Bali. Come on. Join in. No excuses. Bersama Bisa. Okay. Now on the count of three with a spirit. Okay, like you mean. Together we can. Because that's the truth. Together we can. Okay. Want to count us in, Pak Agus?
Okay, so in count of three, 1, 2, 3.
Bali Bersama Bisa!
All right, now.